Okay, we're back online. Sorry about that. Councilwoman Petty, you had some comments or?
Yes, thank you. Just really quickly, I was approached by a councilwoman from Uinta City, and we were discussing how we're such close neighbors, but we're divided by county and city lines, but we're similar enough that we should have some type of connection. So she proposed that we do like a friendly softball game and have members of our sheriff, like 2 members of sheriff, 2 members of our fire, council, staff, whomever wants to participate, and have just an annual friendly softball game. How does everyone feel about this? Is this something that we can request people to volunteer their time to do that? Pickleball. No one wants to play ball?
I'm open
It's
to it.
not golf, guys, but
think
it's
it's a
still
great idea.
I
fun.
mean, we have South Weber Days, Old Timers Baseball, maybe you have you in a South Weber softball game.
I think it's
As
good.
well,
I
yeah.
think it's a good idea.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We're all
Okay.
interrelated over there anyway, so with half of South Weaver.
Right. Okay, so I'm feeling that everyone's going to sign up when we put this in place. Brandon says yes. Okay. Brandon's at the top of
Brandon
the
will
list.
organize that.
Okay. All right. We'll discuss that in PR. Okay. Lights on the car wash. I just wanted to make sure that we don't have a light ordinance or something, because could they potentially be dimmed down?
We can look at that. It is in the conditional use permit,
Okay.
For
that's what I wanted to make
lighting.
sure.
so we just have to measure. Lights are weird, but we can measure it and see if we can dim them.
Okay. I know that's difficult. I just feel like I'm far enough away. I should not have that.
Well, and it was discussed about,
It was.
about the dark skies and some of the lenses, and I don't know that that's quite there.
Oh, no. No. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, the last thing I just wanted to ask, I talked with a member of Planning Commission who was very grateful that we offered them a raise, and then found out that it was turned down, and then felt a little, I won't put words in their mouth. So is that something that if we don't approve council raises, which is fine, are we still open to anything like that as we move forward with our budget for Planning Commission, knowing that there are some who didn't and there are some that do? I just want to know how we proceed with this, because I feel like it's something worth bringing up. Okay, all right.
Well, you just gotta give us a second to chew on things.
That wasn't what I expected to be a discussion on.
I know, and I'm not
But-
bringing it up to make
But
a motion.
I mean, it
but-
was brought up during meeting, and I believe, I don't think Rod was there or not, the mayor was there. That there were people on the planning commission that was vocalized that was not in support of that.
Right,
during the meeting.
absolutely. And there were some that were. So how do we, my question is it something that the council would like to consider and then allow people, if they don't want to take it, to not take it? And those who do want to take it, to take it? Because you and I both know how long, those packets are over 300 pages sometimes. And we're not talking a huge significant increase, that would at least give them compensation for their time. So I'm just throwing it out there as something to consider. And if we want to bring it up again as an agenda item as we go through with the budget.
Are you asking if we want to discuss it again, or are you asking if we want to throw out a number, or what are you asking?
Well, we already had a number out there. I just want to know if that's something we want to consider again on the budget before it's approved. Again, not asking to approve it right now, right? Is that something we could add to an agenda? I don't want to make our meetings longer, but I feel like it's something fair. They don't get to vote on it. So 2 people say, I don't want it, but maybe some people do, which I've heard. So then the 2 that say no for everybody. Do you see what I'm saying?
I still believe that you get what you pay for and that the people that are giving service don't need to be punished for it. These people put in a lot of hours. And if they're willing to do that, I don't understand why we wouldn't be willing to give them some modicum of compensation for it. So I'm always willing to have the discussion.
Thank you.
Where was our PC at? Did we ever look at in terms of, where were they at? Were they well below 2 or where were they at?
Oh, well below 2 is like,
Are you talking about compensation rate? It's $69 a month.
But how was that in comparison to other cities? I remember we talked about council, but I didn't.
Some cities do it per meeting and they have 2 meetings a month, so they have $100. I've seen it at $50. I've seen it at $100. It's kind of an
Varied.
arbitrary amount, right? Like, it's just what you see is worth that
Just-
time, right? So
Didn't
it's
we
just-
talk about
that's a-
150?
yeah, 150 is what we had talked about. Just to put it into perspective, asking staff to come back.
Am I wrong, Dave?
I thought it was 115,
Oh, hey, it could have been.
115.
Could have been.
Mm,
I thought it was.
Thank you. So just to put it in perspective, asking staff to go back and reevaluate this with our traffic study will cost more than that raised increase would.
I think the study's done. They just have to give us the information, but I see your point.
Do you see my point? Because
I'm
staff
fine.
still has to go through all that again. Like, there's still time for that.
I'm fine to discuss it if we want. I guess I'm confused. So it was at 69. I can't even remember. Did we pass it to go to 115? Because it was
It's
projected to go to
currently
115.
69. It was proposed at 115.
And then we
during
said
the
150.
discussion, Council moved it up to 150, and then the
And
next
then
meeting it was removed
Cancel.
back to 69.
Back to 69. Okay. I'm fine to discuss it again.
Add it to the
Add
agenda.
it to the agenda, Dave.
Okay.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Staff reports. Anyone have anything on their committee that they'd like to report?
Public safety met on the 5th. We talked about the 2700 East stuff in meeting, but we also talked about sidewalks and identifying sidewalks through the city that need repair. But the other note of certain significance were our digital signs, speed limit signs are going up on the west end of town. There will be one on Old Maple Drive, that's Old Maple Road, and 2 of them on one going north and south on 475. Digital speed limit signs. And they will record speeds and traffic patterns, plus obviously flash.
And I just comment on the northbound one on 475 East. They initially put it up way too close to the intersection. It looks like they moved it a little further back. That was good. I don't know if they need to move it just a little bit further.
I was wondering where they moved it to. I hadn't seen it move to. I noticed it was in the trees to start with,
Yeah.
but then
They
how
moved
far
it
down did
one
they
more
move it?
lot down, I think, or maybe 2 lots, which, you know, where it was, it'd be hard to get from 0 to 30 in that short distance, so everybody would be fine. And so it needs to be a little further down where people have really gotten up to their speed. Where it is now, I think it's, maybe there, but it might be a little more effective, a little bit further north. But I don't know how easy they are to move. It looked like it was attached to a pole originally. Now it's attached to a telephone pole or.
Right. It can be put wherever we need it to put as
Let's see.
well, for visibility's sake.
Yeah.
I think some of the thinking, right, as you bring up is, if it catches them before they get too fast, then it could help deter the speed. If you're wanting to have it be after they get that fast for enforcement, so that then there's evidence. It's just how you want to
We
use
did have
that tool.
Sergeant Pope help us pick the locations.
Okay.
It just, that first one was I think, misplaced a little bit. And so we did talk about towards the bottom of the slope going north. And then we also talked about not because it's past my house, but it was just past my house going south on that one. And then we were talking about it going westbound
Westbound on Old Maple Road.
westbound about a half a block down on Old Maple Road.
And are
Is
you
that-
trying to get accurate?
We're trying to get people just to slow down.
Okay,
Because it's been such a problem, and he didn't see as big a problem because of the stop sign and stuff going eastbound. He wanted it going westbound.
Right.
And I think we all agreed with that.
Now, he did talk about monitoring other roads. I think he talked
Mhm.
about Deer Run and a couple others, and said that he wasn't seeing significant speeding. A lot of times people were like, oh, that car's got to be going like 50, but it was going like what?
35 or
38
something,
So he said from what he could see, it wasn't as impactful as he is seeing on those other streets where they are actually going well above the speed limit.
And that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have anything to report?
we had a fantastic pickleball opening. I lost.
I failed you. I'm sorry. It was all my fault.
Till it comes down to, we were downwind. I think that's a big, big issue.
What?
Of why I couldn't get the ball over the net. Using anything I can't hear, folks.
I wanted you to hear it.
I had a question on.
You can just skip it altogether. Joel rambled on.
And thanks to staff for doing all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. It's great.
Yeah, thank you. We did get that email about one night the lights, they turn off at different times. Did we figure that out?
Yeah, so the power outage
Oh.
affected the pickleball lights. And so
That makes
they
sense.
were on a timer and ended up basically pushing the timer back. So instead of going from, 8 to 10, it went from 8:45 to 10:45 one night, and that's been worked out.
And then the
Blame it
sprinklers
on the
that they're watering the pickleball courts, is that
being
something
looked
that's been fixed as well?
Well, it's being looked at. I don't
Oh, look at,
know
okay.
if it's been changed.
Code committee met today and talked about our R7 zone. Really tried to kind of pinpoint what it is we're trying to fix, solve, what we're trying to attract, and kind of came down to what appears to be most people's concerns with the R7 is not necessarily the density number, but the quality of the products. Trying to find ways to incentivize them to use better building products and stuff. We are hampered quite a bit by that. I'm just going to say it, that damn HB 98 that really hinders us from being able to require higher quality items. So we are, what are we doing?
We're looking at ways to incentivize the developers to meet more of what we have in mind, using what little we have in regulations.
So, and maybe this is for Jamie on that. So how do other counties, like I won't name
Park
Good.
City.
Park City, Wasatch County, get away with, because it's still in their code, that you have those building requirements?
Yeah, there is an exception for historic communities, and I think a lot of the Park City regulations probably fall in that category.
Well,
But
we got a
that's
monument down
But
there.
that's a guess.
And a Pioneer Cemetery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there are a couple of exceptions to that, and one of the more significant ones is that historic community exception. And I think that's where it applies to many of the Park City regulations.
How did we become that status?
Well, that would be for like
Just a
existing
little bit.
buildings though, right? Like if it's an existing historical building and you're renovating it, it has to stay
No,
historical?
I think it applies a little
Okay.
broader than that. If you have historic districts, then you can
Oh.
have in place building design standards that would require new construction to be consistent with the historic nature of what else is there. And then the other thing to keep in mind is, as we talked about during code committee, that restriction applies only to single family. And so any, like a townhome on up, it would apply, but if you're doing multifamily or other things, it wouldn't. And so you have some flexibility in denser communities like Park City that are doing some multifamily where they could require those of their multifamily. Anyway, in broad strokes, that's what I believe they're applying.
That's interesting.
So the work continues.
Anyone else? I've got one item. To the last Central Weber Sewer District Board meeting on Monday, and they approved for the phase 2 of the bioreactor expansion program, which went to Gerber Construction. And the amount is $87,599,000. So give you an idea of what's happening out there at the sewer district. The big expansion that they're doing, that a lot of it is federal driven and requirements that they've got to be able to meet.
Does that mean an increase in rates will be coming
I'm
likely
sure
soon?
that it will, yeah. So that was just awarded, so I imagine that they'll probably be getting started on that soon. So other than that, that's all I've got, staff.
Yeah, two quick items. If you recall the process that we went through with the county for transferring the paramedic certified tax rate, we are going to be reversing that for animal care. If you recall, state legislature passed a law where the counties are able to exact or enact, I should say, a certified tax rate at the county level to provide essentially regional animal care. Well, right now, the county's providing that service and we are contracting with them, and it will switch to a county-provided service. And so next tax year, we will end up going through a truth and taxation process to vacate the amount of property taxes that goes to animal care, and they will go through truth and taxation to add it to their rate. So that's a heads up for something that's a year in advance, but because of that state law, the wheels are in motion for that. And so just keep that on the radar. And the only other thing is a reminder that tomorrow's Blair's birthday.
It's not really. If you only knew. Yeah. That's why I'm honored today.
Care to tell us how old you're gonna be?
Would you like to guess how old I am?
29.
52.
No, seriously.
50.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Okay.
birthday.
Mayor?
Yeah.
We have one. So as many of you may have noticed on the Planning Commission, there is a discussion item for the moderate income housing update. We are required by state law to update our moderate income housing plan by October 1. So the Planning Commission, as the advisory body for the City Council on the general plan, will review the options and make a recommendation to the City Council for you to review and either amend or accept to change our moderate income housing or update our moderate income housing plan for the new state statute and requirements for that. So I agree. So the process will be the discussion this month. In August, the Planning Commission will make a recommendation to the City Council. We then have at that point the next few meetings to work through that as the City Council if so necessary. So we can do that at the second August meeting as a discussion. or an action item if you would prefer at that point. And then we just need to have it done so I can have it reported by October 1 to the state. So that is, it feels like a while away in being October 1st, but when you start doing it with meeting schedules, it is not very long. So if you look at the staff report for the Planning Commission, it has a lot of good resources provided by ULCT for that, for the review. And we'll be discussing that at our Planning Commission on Thursday.
We just request that you kind of follow that discussion so that when it does come to the council, after they make a recommendation, you have a little bit of that background. Of course, we'll try to, provide as much as we can, but seeing that process take place will be helpful when it cuts to you.
Thanks for the heads up.
If there's nothing else, we'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.